This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Welcome, everyone, to yet another episode of Diagnosing the Aftermarket A to Z. And when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes. And I'd like to talk about talking to kids about a career in auto repair. But first, let's hear a word from our sponsor, NAPA Autotech Training. Do you have a general service tech that you want to grow into your business, but you're lacking the path to get them there? Let NAPA Autotech's apprentice program pave the way. Go to NAPAAutotech.com for more details. So I've been seeing a few things popping up online, namely the Remarkable Results Radio Facebook page or group, really the group. And Carm has, I think, asked, challenged, even suggested trying to go to high schools, like the high school career days, or if you can go in and speak to a class, be it the auto shop class, or a lot of high schools have courses that are just prepping them for a career, prepping them for the next step. Granted, a lot of the times that involves a 4-year college, and all of us probably agree about really the extreme that that's been taken. That's not what this is about. This is just some ideas about having that conversation or doing that presentation, because a lot of us really don't have a lot of inclination, much less experience standing in front of a group of people and talking. It's unnerving. And so if there's ideas of what to talk about, a lot of times that can help immensely. And my first idea or suggestion or example of what I like to do, which doesn't mean diddly squat actually, but I've had good luck with interaction, and that seems to get things off to a good start, off on the right foot, get that interaction with everybody, not just the boys, the young men, but also the young ladies, is talking about the scope of auto repair, not just auto repair, automotive, automobiles, cars, trucks. And the way I like to do that is, especially if there's a whiteboard, is creating a timeline. What is the life cycle of an automobile? And not just so much like the life cycle of the car itself, but in and around its design, manufacture, sales, the selling of it, the maintenance of it, the repair of it, being something breaks or they get in a car crash because you got the collision industry. I have everyone talk about anything we can fit on that timeline. Where would that go on that timeline? Like, this timeline is going to take up the entire span of the whiteboard. And if there's 2 whiteboards side to side right next to each other, probably could take up both of those. And the birthday of the car is going to be not in the middle, definitely not at the very beginning, but somewhere in that. I mean, I don't know. You can swag it. It's not that important. 20% area, maybe 10, maybe 30, somewhere in there. And we can talk about what's all involved before it leaves the assembly line. There's quite a list of things, and somebody has to design it. And it isn't just designing the car, right? It's not just the way it looks, the sheet metal, if you will, all those parts, those are being designed. The interiors. How's the interior going to be laid out? Just start thinking about that. And maybe even to the point of somebody that designs the machines or the assembly line itself to build the thing. How is this thing going to go together? What are the stages? There is so much involved before the thing rolls off the line, including on the line. And not just standing on the line, everything that goes into running that plant. And now the car is available and it's getting transported, ends up at the dealership. All that goes into prepping the car for sale, the sale of it, selling of it, not just the salesman themselves or salesperson, but also the finance person, all those inner workings. And you can start to see where this is going. Like, I don't need to make this timeline out for you, but we're one piece of that, and let them see and think about just the wide scope of what's involved. Parts people at the dealer, at parts stores, parts warehouses, and car detailing. Of course, auto repair. And then all the different segments of auto repair. Mechanical specialists, technical specialists, collision. Maybe if you want to get into ADAS, if that's a little separate. And in some cases, you're going to have a tech that really could be dedicated to just doing ADAS and program. I don't have to tell you guys. I'm preaching to the choir here. And then how about the resale of it? And then the end of life of the vehicle. What happens to it? Does it just get crushed, salvaged out? Like, man, you get a lot of interaction. Everybody has something to say, and they might come up with stuff that you didn't even really think about. Designing accessories for it. Somebody had to design and build the eyelashes for their Dodge Neons or Volkswagen Beetles. It's part of it. That's one thing. And then you get kind of bantering with them. You get a back and forth, and it takes a lot of pressure off of you as a presenter. You're not just up there, blah, 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 blah. Auto repair is awesome. Everyone here should be an auto mechanic or a technical specialist or a mechanical specialist, it takes the weight off of that. And then you can go into, this is where I am. This is what I do. Or this is the segment, and my particular job is this, but I have people in the same facility that do this. I have friends that do this. I know people that do this. And you can show the scope of just the auto repair side of things. Just taking it apart, putting it back together, troubleshooting, electrical, electronics, and then module repair, or some of the hurdles we have with getting certain things to work. Even if you don't do the work, you can talk about it. Just show a couple pictures you can find off Facebook, probably diag.net. Just showing somebody has a module opened up. They're either clipped in or they've desoldered an EEPROM, something like that. You're not training these people. You're not training these kids to go out and start tearing apart modules. It's just the scope of things. Your interests can be really addressed so many different levels and different areas of the auto industry. That's kind of my first suggestion. I've had very, very good luck with that timeline, especially with interaction, especially with people that normally were probably ready to start taking a nap when they heard I was going to speak, and not because it was me, because people that know me, then yeah, they would do that because they know what to expect. A snooze fest, but an adult coming in to talk about auto repair, and they have no interest in it whatsoever, but all of a sudden now they're interacting and they've got a little bit of investment now. The next thing is I, right or wrong, I guess, I don't know. It sometimes opens a bit of can of worms, but that's what I'd like to do. I feel it's very important to address with young people that they may have been lied to for a while. And I don't do it with any intent of throwing anyone or the school itself under the bus. I really don't. I think I make that very clear, but I think we get sold a line of BS. And I don't know if it's so much my generation. I think I was maybe at the very beginning of that generation that it started, but really the following generation of follow your passion and you'll never have to work a day in your life. I find that to be horrific advice. I find it to be misleading, derogatory to people who do work and work really hard and maybe don't necessarily enjoy every minute of their job. They do it because it pays the bills. It allows them to go do what they're passionate about. NAPA Autotech training sessions are being conducted day and night in a town near you. This training caters to every level within your organization, be it a mechanical assistant, a mechanical specialist, a technology specialist, or a driver safety calibration specialist. Imagine a one-stop shop training partner in NAPA Autotech that will lead your team to a path to greatness. Autotech's entry-level Build-A-Tech classes convert the untapped potential of your new hires into money-making mechanical specialists. Autotech's higher-level tech update classes introduce specialists to the world of ever-changing technologies, which prevents your shop from getting technologically stagnant. Remember, if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. And turning to the front of the store, the Autotech Service Advisor class is an awesome way to hone your client advocate skill set, ultimately benefiting the customer through an improved vehicle repair experience. But it doesn't stop there. Imagine an electric vehicle class that takes your specialist well past the mundane, yet necessary safety topics. Well, it's here. Autotech's EV Ready training is a week-long curriculum that takes participants through a hands-on experience involving hybrids and electric vehicles. The session kicks off with the use of PPE and proper tooling while touching on required OSHA regulations. Then, the students dive into the lab vehicles to gain knowledge of the common high-voltage components on EV and hybrid vehicles and their function. Attendees will be taken on a path exposing them to different electric vehicle manufacturers to compare component form and location. Additionally, information about Level 1 and Level 2 charging systems will be included, along with a quick look at DC to DC charging. The operation and maintenance of subsystems are explored, including the different modes of Tesla operations, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Commit to taking your business to the next level with NAPA Autotech training. So you could have somebody that dreams of being a race car driver. Follow your dream, follow your dream. Maybe they're not going to make it though. I mean, how many people race cars for a living and make a living at it? Sports is always a good example. What percent of people end up playing sports professionally to make a living? I'm not talking about like making millions and millions. I'm just saying make a living. It's still very, very, very few. And think about that for a second. Just the percentages of that. How many of you have gone to school with somebody that made it to the pros of any sport? I have not. Okay, actually, I lied. He's a little bit younger than me, but he made it to the NHL. And I don't know that he got to play that many games, but he was dominant in high school. He did pretty darn good. I mean, obviously, when he played college, Division I, and then I think he played very few games in the pros. I remember in high school playing against people, basketball, that were very good, dominant, all state, all conference. A couple of them went to Division I, and I think one played a little bit in the NBA. Now, it didn't last, but he was dominant. And even on maybe not the team I was on, but a couple of the ones a little bit before us, we had players that were terrific. They didn't make it to Division I. It's just the odds and what it takes to be that good, and also just the limited positions. And the same with entertainment business. And you could keep going on. I think a lot of kids, if you go ask them what they, like young kids, elementary school, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know that so many of them are saying they want to be a doctor or a pilot or in the military or something like that. Or like their parents want to be something like their parents. They respond with wanting to be an influencer. This is so odd. And yet that's the generation coming up and being told, follow your passion, follow your passion. They should be following the money. If you want to talk like Mike Rowe, you follow the money. Where's the money? It's probably doing something nobody else wants to do. And the other thing is follow your talent. That I hear from a gentleman by the name of Scott Galloway, who I love listening to. You follow your talent. What can you do pretty well? What can you do that you can get really, really good at? What could you go and master? And if you can do that, that's where you're going to build value, where you're going to be worth something. Again, success is a weird concept, weird definitions. Everyone's definition is kind of different. I was on a Gearbox podcast with Jimmy Purdy, and we kind of talked a little bit about the success and definition of success. And I said something that might actually be worth something on accident, but some people measure success by stuff. How much stuff do you got? What kind of stuff do you got? You got the nice big house. You got the newest cars, the nicest cars, the fastest cars. You got the cabins, the boats, the ATVs. That's success. Others, it's, do you have a family? And whatever definition that is. Is it the traditional nuclear family and that everybody's healthy and growing up to become productive citizens and all that, that is their definition of success. One idea I have, and like I said, I mentioned it on the Gearbox podcast, is that what if we treated it like baseball, and specifically going up to home plate with a baseball bat? So you grab your bat. What if we could assign value, at least a percentage of success, and a good percentage, like not nothing. You get up to bat, you lay off the bad pitches, and you swing on the good ones. You give it your best swing. Maybe you go down swinging, but there should be an understanding with yourself. There should be an ounce of pride. There should be something where you take a little bit of credit and feel good about, I laid off the bad pitches. I swung at the good ones. I gave myself a shot to succeed. And again, what does that mean? You make contact with the ball, you hit a single, knock it out of the ballpark. I don't think everything has to be knocked out of the ballpark to be a success. I also don't know that you have to necessarily always hit the ball to take a little bit of pride that you set yourself up to succeed, because you also have to accept some people are going to swing at every pitch, good and bad, and accidentally make contact. And some people are just really, really good at whatever it is. They're going to succeed. It doesn't matter. They're going to go up there and they're going to swing at a bad pitch and crush it. But I think there needs to be some acceptance, at least a personal level. And it would be nice, those in the immediate area, friends, family, that see that you're laying off the bad pitches, swinging your heart out at the good pitches. And you keep doing that, eventually you're going to hit one. And you keep hitting, and eventually you're going to crush it. And I think there's a lot to that. But I think telling kids that and follow your talent. What do you got a knack for? Are you a critical thinker? Are you good at solving puzzles? Are you good at tracking down problems? Auto repair might be a really, really good area for you to feed that. Are you kind of artistic? You think you have a good eye for straight lines and you like to paint? You could paint cars. And yes, your 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, whatever, full-time job is painting cars so they look like they just came off the showroom. And it might seem mundane, but you're building up the equipment and the experience to start doing maybe the more fun stuff. And maybe you practice and practice and practice painting flames. And then somebody finds out you can paint flames and they let you do their car. And it just leads somewhere. And maybe not a whole career. Maybe it's just like a good side gig, or the people find out you work for this shop as the painter and you can paint these flames. And now people are coming from miles around to bring their vehicles to this collision shop to have you paint flames. We see it in auto repair with alignment techs. Still, with all this technology for alignments, we still have places where they got that person. He or she has a knack for alignments. Whatever it is they do, they just have a knack for it. Road crown compensation, bump steer. They understand it. They care about it. They've worked at it, honed this craft. And people, it's like one of the few things that auto repair, I think, where people will travel to have their car worked on. I think diagnostics, of course, the drivability guy, the diagnostic gal, that they're going to figure out the problem. Yeah, that's definitely one of them. I don't know how many other areas that happens. Maybe transmissions. If you're digging in that deep, rebuilding transmissions, you can get a good rep for that. People travel a long ways to have that done. But I think the value system has to start changing a little bit. We have to stop knocking people, especially young people, for following what they're good at, doing the jobs, taking jobs, following careers with what they do very well and that they can master and become a leader of their field, top of the field. And that's where there's a lot of value, and they can get paid very, very well. Then they can afford to go do whatever they're passionate about on the weekends or a few weeks a year, whatever that is, vacation time. They can follow their passion that way. So whatever that is, I guess we don't really need examples. And if it turns out that their passion aligns with what they're very good at, then, that will manifest itself. But I think having anyone feel like taking whatever job, typically blue collar, it seems, is somehow a failure. They couldn't hack it in Hollywood. Nobody drafted them. They couldn't make it to the Division I. So now they're an auto mechanic or a electrician or a plumber and kind of feeling bad about themselves, even though they're probably making a darn good living and could be the very definition of success. But because we have these, just this twisted value system now, they maybe don't feel that way, and others don't feel that way. And I think we can work to change that. And I think we can do that at the front of a classroom with a bunch of teens, not really tearing their dreams down, but I think just better qualifying it and giving them, I think, freedom, more freedom to succeed, more freedom to feel better about themselves, so that if they do take that skilled trade job, whatever that is, but they feel very good about themselves, and they should. And people that try to knock them down, they don't give them the time of day. They don't pay them zero mind, because they are succeeding in every sense of the word. And you can't assume this person that's critiquing them is. And then I guess to round this out, while you're up there, one of the big sales points, I think, in the skilled professions is we have a lot more time before artificial intelligence and automation affect us. I think that is a really, really strong sales pitch. This is something they have to think about. We never had to think about this. Never. AI, that was what the Matrix was about. That's what Terminator was about, or the movie AI. But we didn't have to think about that. Kids now, they have to think about that. That has to be a consideration. There are certain jobs that they may want to go do, even in programming, that aren't going to be there anymore. They're going to be much different and possibly greatly devalued, possibly. But the skilled professions, auto repair, electricians, plumbers, automation is going to take a while. We're kind of seeing some automation for like shop level tire changers, meaning vehicle is pulled in and there is a robotic arm or two that will dismount the wheel, put it on a tire machine of whatever, get the tire off, remount it, balance it, put it back on the car. Right now, it's extremely cost prohibitive, and I have no idea what the durability is, reliability of such equipment, but we might see that in I don't know about the near future, but I don't know. Should we swag the next 10 years? There's going to be more and more shops that have these. And I just feel like if that's the case, like this thing's become reliable, then we're going to start seeing tire shops that are more like car washes, where you just pull in, does the tires in 20, 30 minutes or whatever the time is. I don't know. Mounts, balance, swipe your card. I don't know if there will be a human in the building. Maybe. You might need somebody to go fetch the tires, load the machine. Maybe that could be automated depending on the warehouse layout, but there's probably going to be some humans involved somewhere. But driving the car on the rack, probably. Or like I said, it's going to be like a car wash, and you drive it in there, hit the green light, make the green light come on and the buzzer, and then you just sit and wait, and your tires get done. Artificial intelligence, day to day, it will probably affect diagnostics before anything else in the shop, where there will be some sort of technician's aid that works its way to eventually taking more and more diagnostic decisions out of human hands. I don't know how far that is away. I think the dealerships will start that trend, and it doesn't. We've seen weak attempts at it, and I guess weak attempts don't necessarily involve AI, but with guided fault finding / test plan type things, we've seen where it's slightly attempted, some very poor attempts, but eventually it won't be poor. Eventually it's going to be really good. It just will. When is it going to really hit us in the indies? I don't know. Maybe along the same lines, 10, 15 years, maybe more. It'll be interesting to see, but we're pretty insulated because of especially with automation, the dexterous nature of what we do. Could a machine or robot be built to do brakes on a very specific vehicle? Yeah, I'm sure. But not all makes, all models. Not even multiple car lines, or I should say multiple platforms from the same car line, because they're different. And Maybe it'll start out with a lot of more undercar stuff, maybe brakes, but do you really see it getting into shocks and struts and suspension and steering and then the interior stuff? It's much more reasonable that there's going to be some sort of artificial intelligence that we work with that is involved with aiding a technician, mechanical and or technical specialist work through problems, and then through either augmented reality or mixed reality that we're wearing some sort of glasses or visor, just working to help us get better and more consistent at what we do. But I don't know that anything's going to replace the person doing it. And watching people, even as they're being instructed on what to do, how to do it, shown how to do it, there's still going to be value in that person that's doing the actual work. And especially if it can kind of interact with the system to help it get better and or challenge it even. This could be very interesting to see. I just think it's really down the road yet. And because of that, these are some really good gigs to get into. Otherwise, we're going to just see a lot of people going to college to pay a lot of money to graduate for careers that don't exist or don't exist the way they used to. Like the value won't be there. I'm not picking on liberal arts. I think there's other programs that for many years were, if somebody told you they were going into this program, you'd have thought, okay, that should be good. And then they get out and there's no jobs, or the job is devalued greatly because the involvement of AI or automation. So that's kind of the way I go about talking to namely high schoolers about careers in the automotive world. But then eventually it has to come down to auto repair and specifically independent from my perspective. I'm not necessarily knocking dealers at all, but that's the perspective I'm coming at them with. So I hope you got a kick out of that and maybe helps you, maybe gives you a little bit of confidence to go in and talk to these young people, right? Because it's kind of going to be what it's all about for our future, is getting some talent in our doors. Yeah, I hope this helps you out. If you like this or have some criticisms of it, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can email me at mattfanslowpodcast@gmail.com. Otherwise, I'm pretty easy to track down on social media. If you have ideas for future shows or want to come on the podcast, again, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you to the Aftermarket Radio Network for hosting this, and thank you to NAPA Autotech Training for sponsoring. And until next time, take care.
You've been listening to Matt Fanslow, diagnosing the aftermarket A to Z on the Aftermarket Radio Network. Follow Matt on your favorite listening app. He's very interested in what you have to say. Let him know what you'd like him to cover and come on the show. Matt is all for advancing the aftermarket. Find Matt Fanslow on social media and connect or on aftermarketradionetwork.com.